What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. And today we're talking the latest episode of Uncool with Alexa Bliss, featuring Jaret Riddick from Bowling for Soup. Honestly, the name alone doesn't really ring many bells, but of course I know Bowling for Soup. They've been around for a long time now. They were a big band, a big influence on Alexa Bliss growing up, so that's why she kind of had him on the show from Bowling for Soup. The same reason why she had Hanson on the show a couple of weeks ago and had Lance Bass from NSYNC on the show, I think one of the first few episodes. This was a good episode as well. I think it was the longest one to date. The video version runs 1 hour and 4 minutes on the WWE Network and on the WWE YouTube channel. Again, it's a good episode, well worth checking out. It breezed by more than I thought it would. They had a very good, wholesome conversation, I guess might be the right word to describe it. But it is the longest one to date. So usually the podcasts run anywhere from like 25 to 30, 45, sometimes 50 minutes. I think last week's ran 50 minutes with Nikki Glaser, which was a very good episode. This one was around 1 hour and 4 minutes, but still very enjoyable throughout. So he talks about how he thought he was uncool throughout high school and how he was friends with everyone, but he wasn't really invited to many parties. And he had long hair. That's what he was kind of known for throughout high school. And he grew up in Texas. That's where he grew up. And he was kind of a class clown early on. He tried to turn like reading aloud in class and like a bit to make people laugh, although they would never laugh. And he told one embarrassing story, and a lot of his stories that he tells I thought were really good, but one of which included him playing in like the high school band, like the pep band type of thing. And they had to play in something called the Oil Bowl, which was like, I guess maybe their Super Bowl for like their football team or something. I don't know, but it was called the Oil Bowl. It's part of the high school band. So his snare drum broke as they were walking down the stairs. Like it fell or something, and it wasn't his fault. It was a complete accident. But it broke to the point where he couldn't play it. So he kind of hit off to the side when the band went down to on the field, and his family was there. And it was just a really funny story because they were like, "Oh, where were you?" He's like, "Oh, I was there. I was just off in the corner." And he never told anyone that he actually never played, and he kind of swooped back in line like no one ever noticed when they were coming back up through the not the entranceway, but like the stairs, you know what I mean? Like the railing, whatever, the ramp. He kind of snuck back in as if he was as if he never actually left. And I thought that was funny. He kind of stayed on the side the entire time. He talked about his brother and how they would play pranks on each other growing up. And I guess he was 5 years younger than from his brother. He had an adopted dad who I guess had 4 girls, but they were much older than he was. So it was really just him and his brother growing up. Some of the kids in the neighborhood, I guess, hung his bike up in a tree, and his brother went to go retrieve it for him, which was funny. So he didn't know his biological sisters, I guess, until just recently. And the adopted dad's 4 girls were different, but I guess he had biological sisters he didn't know that he had until just recently. And it would have been nice for him to go in a bit more detail on that, but maybe it was too personal or whatever. So that's when he talks about getting into music and how kids kind of have different freedoms nowadays and how he was always self-conscious about his weight, and he kind of shows up his high school photos. But yeah, on the subject of music, he talked about hearing Ozzy for the first time, Ozzy Osbourne, and how he immediately went on to buy Ozzy Osbourne albums and Motley Crue albums, and he immediately fell in love with music, and that's what he knew at that point what he wanted to do, was play music. And he talked about how it kept him out of trouble and his kind of connection with MTV and how that kind of inspired the 1985 song. They talk about that for a bit. And honestly, I know the song. I remember the song from like 15 years ago. I had no idea that was a Bowling for Soup song. I guess I do. I guess I probably should have figured that, but I don't associate that song with Bowling for Soup, which I completely forgot they did that song, but they did. And I guess Alexa Bliss was a big fan of the song as well. So he talked about asking for like a guitar out of like a JCPenney catalog growing up and how he got it, and he was self-taught in the guitar, and how the band Bowling for Soup, he talked about the name a little bit later on, but they weren't embraced by their hometown early on because they would never go to their shows. If they were like $3 to attend and stuff, they never went. So when he made the song My Hometown and he kind of trashed his hometown, people got upset over that. People like wrote into the local newspaper saying like, oh, they were trashing us, blah, blah, blah. And now he's not bitter about it anymore, but I thought that was funny. But he talked about how being different was kind of helped them, and that kind of helped them stand out when they moved on to other towns and stuff and they became more successful. He talks about the concert photo ops they have during their concerts, and Alexa Bliss remembers going to her first Bowling for Soup concert and how I guess Jaret's son freaked out when he found out that Alexa Bliss was a Bowling for Soup fan, because he doesn't think his dad is cool. He doesn't think Jaret's cool. But when he found out that Alexa Bliss was a fan of his dad, he was like freaking out. So he got in contact with Alexa through like DMs and stuff like that, and they kind of talk about their connection a little bit later on. But he also talks about how the band's name, Bowling for Soup, was inspired by Steve Martin, stand-up comedian Steve Martin, very famous actor, obviously. And now I guess he said in one of his stand-ups, he said like bowling for shit or something like that, and they thought it'd be funny if they changed shit to soup, so it'd be more marketable, like they can actually use that when they toured and stuff as opposed to shit. And it stuck, and he talked about how it doesn't make any sense, but it stuck. And he talks about touring then versus now, and also meeting his wife, who was, I guess, his hairstylist at one point, which was funny. And they have kids together now, and he tells some pirate jokes and whatever. So as far as Alexa Bliss and the song they made for her a couple of years ago, maybe about a year ago or so, I thought this was great. He DM'd her after he found out that she was a fan of Bowling for Soup, and they went back and forth, kind of made small talk and whatever. So Alexa Bliss actually invited him to the Royal Rumble in 2018. I think he said in Philadelphia, which would have been in 2018, I believe. And that was the show actually that I went to. And it was a great, great show. I guess he was backstage with his kid for that show, got front row tickets or whatever. And then she got to go backstage for one of his concerts, and then they collaborated about writing a song about her called, like, I think Alexa Bliss, I think is the name of the song. And they sent it to her on her birthday, and she freaked out about it, was super happy with the result. So they weren't really sure about whether she would want to be in the video or not. They didn't want to like take advantage of her type of thing. But she was like, absolutely, I'll be in the music video, blah, blah, blah. I guess Ember Moon choreographed the wrestling portion of it, and it came out really, really well. I think I watched it a couple of years ago when it came out. But yeah, Alexa Bliss actually revealed here that she was in the process of making plans to get them to play her to the ring at WrestleMania 36. But then when everything shut down earlier this year, those plans kind of went down the toilet. But she still hopes at some point, maybe not with her current Fiend character and being associated with a Fiend, that's probably not going to happen. But down the road, she wants to get them to a WrestleMania to perform there, which I think would be pretty cool. But yeah, he wants to get her to a future concert of theirs and be on stage when they play the song about her. And he also wants his son to get into acting, because I guess he was in that music video and he thought he did really, really well. And the son's not really all that interested. I'm not sure how old he is now, but Jaret really wants his son to get into acting. But he also told some quick stories about how he met Michael Hayes with a bra on his head, like he was like FaceTiming him or something, as Alexa Bliss was FaceTiming him, and he grew up a big Freebirds fan. And he got to talk to him when he had like a friggin' bra on his head, about they were filming a video, or probably the music video, I would assume. And to close it out, he just said that he would tell his younger self to just enjoy the ride and growing up and just kind of take everything simple and blah, blah, blah. And he also talked about anxiety awareness and depression awareness and stuff like that. Some pretty good stuff to close out the episode. But yeah, no, I thought it was a fun episode. Again, it's the longest one they've done yet at 1 hour and 4 minutes. The video version runs 1 hour and 4 minutes, as does the network version, whatever. The podcast version that came out a couple of weeks ago might be shorter, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it was very good, though. Well worth checking out. Good stuff here. Wasn't expecting a lot from this. I am aware of who Bowling for Soup is, but I don't know a lot about Jaret Riddick, and I got to find out a lot more about the guy than I did previously, and I thought he was a really fun guest. So check it out right now on the WWE Network, on the WWE YouTube channel, as well as on, podcast platforms and stuff like that. They have the audio versions of these shows go up like the week before the video version goes up, and that's what I watch on the network and on the YouTube channel, and that's what I review here on Fridays. So check those out as well, and check out all my other Uncool with Alexa Bliss reviews right here on the channel, and WWE Network and Chill in the playlist down below, in the playlist entitled Uncool with Alexa Bliss Reviews. Until next time, guys, be sure to like this video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Hit that bell button as well to be notified every time a new video goes up. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.